Okay, number 6 is a mixture problem, pretty typical mixture problem. You should be getting pretty good at these by now. So mixture problems, we have 3 rows, 3 columns. The columns represent the amount of whatever solution you have times the percent of whatever it is. So in this case, we're talking about a salt solution, so it's percent salt. If we were talking about a dye solution, it would be percent dye. If we were talking, right? Okay. And when you multiply the amount you have times the percent salt, you get the amount of salt that you have, right? And now the rows are the original solution and then what you're adding to it. Now, in this case, they're asking us to make it stronger. So we're going to add salt to the original to make it stronger. And then the bottom one is the mixture. So now we fill in all the information we have. It says John has 20 ounces, so 20. And I'm just going to put the units here again so I remember the answer to write the units. Of a 20% salt solution, 20% is 0.2 or 0.20, right? Then it says how much salt should be added to make it a 25% solution. So the mixture is a 0.25, right? And now we fill in what the unknowns, right? So I'm going to add salt and I'm going to get a mixture, right? I don't know those amounts. And then the percent salt in salt, we have to assume that it's 100% or 1. Okay, now we can multiply across each of the rows. So 20 times 0.2, right? 20 times 0.2, right? Becomes 4, right? 20 times 0.2. And then S times 1 becomes S. And M times 0.25 becomes 0.25 M. And our equations always come down, for mixture problems, always come down the first and the last column. So the first column is 20 plus S equals the mixture. So the amount we had plus the amount of salt has to equal the total. And then the right-hand side says 4 plus S equals 0.25 M. There's our 2 equations. Couple ways we can do this. One, we could use elimination. We could use substitution. We always use elimination. Let's use substitution on this one. So let's transform this bottom equation. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, right? Minus 4, minus 4. And I'm going to get S equals 0.25 M minus 4. And the top equation right here, I'm just going to bring that down, right? 20 plus S equals M. So let's use substitution. I'm going to take this 0.25 M minus 4, and I'm going to substitute it into the S for the second one. So I get 20 plus 0.25 M minus 4 equals M, right? 20 minus 4 is 16 plus 0.25 M equals M, right? And then subtract 0.25 M minus 0.25 M. And I get 16 equals 1 minus 0.25 is 0.75 M. And now we have to divide by 0.75. Now some of you are going to think this is easier if we just convert it to a fraction. 0.75 is 3/4, right? So now I can multiply both sides by 4/3. Both sides by 4/3, right? And we get 4 times 16 is 64/3, right? Equals M. So M equals 64/3. But the question is, how much salt do we need, right? So I'm going to take this equation right here, right there, and I'm going to write it over here. So S equals, instead of 0.25 M, I'm going to write 1/4 M minus 4. And then we'll substitute in M. And M is 64/3 minus 4. So 4 goes into 64, 16. So we have 16/3 minus, and I'm going to make 4 into thirds, right? So that's 12/3. So S equals 4/3. So it says, how much salt do we need to add? and we would say 4/3 or 1 1/3, we would say 4/3 ounces of salt. And if you wanted, you could write it as 1 1/3 ounces of salt, but either way is fine.